and welcome to Pale Blue Pod, the astronomy podcast for people who are overwhelmed by the universe but still want to be its friend. I'm your host, Dr. Moiya McTier. I'm an astrophysicist, a folklorist, and a friend to the universe. And today I'm joined by, hopefully, a new friend to the universe, Charlotte Moroz, a mythologist, an artist, an actor, a puppeteer, someone who wears many hats. Welcome. Well, thank you for being here, Charlotte.
I didn't put on all my hats for our little meeting, but I'm very excited to be here. I'm a super fan, and it's like, am I here? Am I talking to Dr. Moiya today?
You are. It's me. It's my voice. It's talking to you.
It's you, and we're talking. Well, I've just been in Eastern Turkey at a, get ready to niche on down with me. I was just at Göbekli Tepe, which is a 12,000-ish year old site in a place called Şanlıurfa, Eastern Turkey. So I would love to bring back the sights and the sounds of that excavation, which is like deserty, dry, very windy because of the way that the landscape kind of channels air. I don't know, that's a bit above my pay grade, but
that's how it works, yeah.
So it's very windy, but it's also so hot, like 106, 107 during the day.
Yeah, I'm a very sweaty person. I hope you don't mind.
Oh, I was so sweaty, and I would I'm not really an early riser, but you wanted to be there at 7 a.m. Because it was the only time of day when you were like, oh, it's so lovely here. You can hear the birds chortling and singing to each other across the deserty plains. And then in the excavation site, your eyes get... I'm saying this with excitement. Your eyes get full of dust, and so does your whole body, your throat.
Oh,
so it's just a very dusty place. And then when you leave it, you actually feel this kind of relief, just walking around town. You're like, oh my god, why do I feel so much less full of dust? Then there's just old school 2x4 wood planks. A lot of excavation sites use this just to be stepping on something that isn't a wall from 12,000 years ago or things like that.
That's so nice. This is beautiful. Thank you for bringing me here. I've never been to an excavation site before, a dig site, so this is lovely. Well, before we get into today's topic, which is the Juno spacecraft, and I do want to know what connection you feel to the Juno spacecraft in a bit. But before we get to that, all of the people who come through Pale Blue Pod have to take the preliminary exam to tell us where they fit in the podiversity.
Oh my gosh, I'm a blend of excitement, nerves.
As anyone is before a prelim, right? But there are no right or wrong answers in this prelim. It's just to get to know you a little bit better. There are seven questions. 7 questions, and the first one is, what is your current relationship status with the universe?
Just looking for more contact with the universe and universes generally. Just anything that can remind me that I'm part of a much wider web net constellations, part of wider networks of celestial bodies and locations. And anytime I feel really bad about anything, I honestly just many of us do this, but just remembering those images where it's you're here.
Yeah.
And look at all this stuff. I just go you know what, that might have been the most awkward conversation of my entire existence. But look
where we are.
This might not be so awkward out here, that's just little me here. Or this thing that I forgot to do in the grand scheme of things. I think that's one relationship I have.
Yeah.
I often think to myself in a certain moment when I feel like I'm doing really well at something or totally failing at something, I think, would this make me a better astronaut?
Oh, what a metric.
Or would this make me fail? Would they be well, sorry, Charlotte, we would put you on the next, flight, but we need you to have this skill, or we need you to be able to deal with this. Being jet lagged, I'm a hot mess after it. I really fall into a deep despair, and I'm you'd have to work on this if you want to go to space.
You think that's how they select the astronauts?
I'm pulling at strings here, but I'm thinking you should probably get better at this. Anyway, those are some of my universe connections.
Oh, I love that. It sounds like you are happy and willing to have a close relationship to the universe, and you feel like at some moments it's playing hard to get.
Yeah, a bit. And then there's times when, like, my very physical reality comes to confront me. Like, you want to go to space, but you'd be really bad at it. You don't like the tilt-a-whirl or whatever, where, like, you know, you're, like, smushed against a wall.
You should probably like that. There's
a list of, like, physical shortcomings that I'm working on, you know, to be able to be eligible for space.
I love the idea that the astronaut requirements list is also like a self-improvement list for someone.
I attack it like a true self-help person. You know, I'm like, how can I get in here and just make some improvements?
Well, I think that leads very nicely into another question on the prelim, which is, imagine you were an astronaut. You improve all of these things. How far into space are you willing to go?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the, you know, transportation. I don't know that I'm, like, in for, like, how long does it take they're like, if we send folks to Mars, it'll take, like, what?
Months.
Oh, months.
Not, like, almost a year.
Oh, okay. Imagine someplace where we would go that would take, like, this is like a 5-year voyage. I don't know that that's, like, my best life. The sort of in-between times are not my favorite. And I don't know if I would want to be on a ship, like, for such a long time. Yeah. But I would, that's not really your question. See, I'm getting very logistically focused.
It's part of it.
I'm just thinking about, like, if the transportation's fast and doesn't totally, you know, pull all of our parts apart and put them in the wrong place, then I'm happy to go really far away. Oh,
okay. That does tell me something about you. It's the travel.
I'm like, let's go.
The journey is not worth the destination in your mind, at least not through space.
Like, mostly because weird, cantankerous fighting between people makes me feel really bad. I would be sort of, like, codependently, like, guys, can't we work this out, you know? And you're stuck on a ship. I'm just thinking of the logistics of humans traveling together.
NASA does too. NASA thinks a lot about that.
They must think about that.
It's one of the areas of concern for them when thinking about long-term space travel.
Yeah. But then, as we talk about this, I'm like, I'm kind of down for any of it. Honestly, like, I'd go to space, and I'd work it out.
Just this conversation has made you rethink everything. Like, you know what? I didn't want to, but I guess I could. Why not?
Yeah. This is radically making me rethink my entire life trajectory.
Great.
No pressure.
That's just, exactly what a podcast host wants to hear.
That's what your podcast is trying to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, get people more comfortable with space.
I'm a new acolyte. I'm a space acolyte. Love. Sign me up.
Okay. Well, then we're going to send you on a long mission in space. Actually, let's start you with a smaller one. Let's do like a little exposure therapy and work you up in baby steps. It's your first launch for your first mission. You're in the cockpit. What song are you playing during blastoff?
Oh, maybe like Queen, like I Want to Break Free.
Ooh.
I mean, it's a little on the nose, but it's just like such a jam.
Yeah.
Or
it has us both bopping back and forth.
Yeah, or like, I love you, always, forever, near and far, closer together, everywhere, I will be with you. Everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like the, say you'll never love me, forever, never stop.
Yeah, like as you're leaving the atmosphere, that'd be nice.
And it's like a moment where everyone's like turns to each other and they're like, wow, we're doing something. And like cohesion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like we're forever together or something.
I think we just bonded. Yeah.
Great choice.
Just off the top of my head.
I love that. Yeah, I'm making a playlist of all of the songs that people give for this question, and that's going to be a great addition.
Amazing. And thanks for translating my not really knowing the words and kind of Muppet singing it to you actually understanding what song I'm talking about.
No, you nailed it.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, next question. Do you have a favorite equation?
This is going to really show my level of relationship to equations.
Okay.
Generally, I like algebra. I like
Nice.
its style.
You liked when they started adding the letters to the numbers in math class?
I think it's so innovative, and I like their style, and I just like the algebra. I just think as an addition to math, you know?
They did great. They ate with that one.
I think it's great. They ate with it, and we're still eating. We're having a meal of it. It happens to coincidentally be the type of math that I understood a bit in school, so that's where I'm holding on for dear life. Geometry, you know what you did to me, and you're not welcome here.
That's
Except,
fair.
sadly, geometry has so much to do with, like,
Life. Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Like, the shape of everything. Yeah.
It is unfortunate.
So-
But algebra is a great one. So your favorite equation is any one where you have to solve for x.
Oh, thank you for putting that into slightly more refined terms. I'm trying to think of, like, what another equation would be.
All of algebra is a good...
All of algebra
It encompasses
are totally
a lot.
welcome in my home.
Great. You have a welcome mat. It says, welcome if
Welcome,
you
algebra.
are not calculus. Welcome if you have no derivatives.
Yeah, go
Go fuck yourself, calculus.
go fuck yourself. Exactly.
Next question. No geometry required for this one.
Okay.
Do you feel like your sun sign fits who you are as a person?
Yes, I do. I am a Gemini, and there's a lot of, like, thoughts, just very thinky thoughts, and a lot of, like, leaping between topics, and a lot of, like, kind of bubbly, effusive, like, kind of hummingbird energy that I think comes squirrel hummingbird kind of vibes. And someone who's like a really good family friend, she was a history teacher, like a scholar, and then also an astrologer. She told me that you could think about your sun sign, if you wanted to, as like your inner CEO. Like, it's sort of like the person holding a clipboard running interference between all your parts. So in that case, like, I think my inner CEO really has a Gemini feel to it. Airy, lighter, doesn't like hang out in emotion for too long. So those are some of like my inner defaults, but that doesn't mean that I don't have these other, all of us have these multitudes
Oh, of course.
inside.
Yeah. That's why, you can go beyond the sun sign.
Right.
To
and
add
you can go beyond
the
the sun.
complexity.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. But you feel like Gemini fits. I love that.
And also I'm a twin. So
Oh.
some of us
Perfect.
Some of us came in with like really wanting to make a point, and that feels like, hey world.
Are you the older or the younger twin?
Thank you for asking. I'm the elder twin.
Great.
6 minutes.
A world of difference.
Literally. It was like, stick with me, kid. Let me show you around.
Oh, I remember when I was your age, I used to think that way too.
It's so obnoxious. It's like,
You have to, though.
do you know, some parents don't tell their kids who the older one is, and I'm like, but how else would you lord over your paltry few minutes more on this planet? Like,
Right.
I'm confused.
That's your right to do so.
It's my right.
Next question. What's the best planet?
It's really hard to see the last thing I've been talking about, my Gemini indecision, but immediately we love a Mercury. We love a mercurial hermetic moment. We love the like, but as a planet, like as like a figure and a god, I feel like, Hermes leaps from things and is friend to the humans and blah, blah, blah. But as a planet, I know like nothing about it except, is it blue? I don't know. No,
it's like
it's not.
gray.
I've already failed at the star talk, the planet talk. It's hard to say the best, though. It's a very good question. Very provocative, for a Gemini, because I'm like, but then
It's making me
I
think.
love, like, Jupiter's, like, so buttery and, like, and, like, Venus, she's got a lot going on there.
I would have
with
called
the-
Venus buttery, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Just because of the yellow.
Right, yeah. There's the yellow gases.
But I do love calling Jupiter buttery. I'll use that for
Okay,
a little
cool.
bit.
Thanks for going with that. Now I'm just going to list all the planets and tell you things I like about. No, I'm just kidding. But the last thing I'll say is I really feel for Pluto. I'm like, personally, just based on nothing, I just feel like I don't necessarily feel like we get to downgrade a planet. I'm like, it doesn't sit right with me. So,
well, the official stance of Pale Blue Pod is that Pluto is still a planet. It's just a special type of planet, and there's nothing wrong with being a dwarf.
Okay, I like that reframe. Yeah, I do feel like it's special. So I think Pluto's like, yeah, I am special. Yeah. Thanks for noticing.
And we finally noticed it.
We finally noticed it, right? It's like, hello.
I've been here special this whole time. Thanks for seeing it. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, but Mercury you're going with for the final answer.
Just for, like, final answer, Mercury. And also it makes me feel like I should probably figure out what color it is.
I'll send you some info after this. We have a whole episode about it. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thanks.
Final question. What do you think is scarier than a black hole?
I think the scariest thing is living in a world where we don't see each other and our spark of what made us in each of us. And the idea that we would just be kind of like slogging along in fear.
Oh my God, that sounds terrible. It sounds like a zombie apocalypse.
Right. Or clown anything.
this great existential threat to our society at large. Exactly. Or a clown.
Which arguably represent a separate, sort of, a different way of expressing that same existential threat.
You're not wrong. Okay.
I just like, if there was a black hole or clowns, I'm like, black hole.
Yeah.
Let's roll the dice.
Do not pass go. Just go straight to the black hole.
Maybe I'll come out as something else, But I'm not going into the clowns.
All right. Understood. And here at the Podiversity, we will never put you near clowns. And we will, we don't even have a clown group on campus. While you're here, we're not going to let one start.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Just for you. We care about all of our students and faculty here at Pale Blue Podiversity.
I appreciate it. I love this. I love this university.
So you applied to the university with a statement about Juno, the Juno spacecraft. What do you know about Juno already, and what do you hope to know by the end of the episode?
I know so little. So little. Sometimes I do this weird thing where I feel like if I get to know something before we're going to talk about it, for instance, I don't Google people because I feel like I'm like infringing on their privacy somehow, but it's not altruistic exactly. It's more like I'm going to find something out of context and it's going to confuse me. Yeah. But I like anything to do with June because I'm born in June. So ooh, Juno. And I'm curious to hear about it and see like what it might have to do with like the mythological stuff of like why they named it Juno.
Yeah. A fellow mythology person. Can you tell us what do you know about Juno and how do you think it might be connected?
Okay. Juno is the Roman name for Hera.
Yeah.
So we're talking like a big time goddess.
Yeah, like a queen of the pantheon.
She's like it's giving empress. It's giving, now I'm thinking tarot, but I mean it's full empress energy. Zeus obviously had many partners, many connections, and I'm saying that very generously.
That's a diplomatic way to put it. Yeah,
some of them were consensual and some were very much not. Definitely. And there's a lot. That is a whole dense thing to get into. But Hera and Juno is really interesting figure in terms of like, I always love the stories where they're like, where Hera's like giving Zeus hell. Like, I always think it's interesting. Like, I think this sounds so like obnoxiously mythologist to be like, like that scene in the Iliad. It's like, shut up.
Love it.
But Zeus often like has things where he does them almost like, in theory this could be okay, or hypothetically, or I didn't think that you'd find out about this or whatever. And Hera's kind of, the general theme is like, no, feet on the ground, this is what has happened, or this is where you have caused destruction, or this is the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's not going to let Zeus gaslight her into thinking that he was just all hunky-dory and
exactly
did nothing wrong.
It's like your actions have massive impact in the world. It has like a big waves that it sends out. And, you know, this is also some thick stuff around like gender expectations, constructed blah, blah, blah. But I think Juno / Hera, like just as a figure, is super varied, is not just like sort of a cookie cutter, an expectation of what the ancient Greek world or the ancient Roman world or our modern worlds, like it's not just an expectation sort of dictating how she behaves, but I find her to be really like, she's both hyper rational and also hyper emotional. She's very like, she feels like a very human expression of this kind of empress figure. Like she's like, I'm pissed off. This is fucked up. And then she's also like very, okay, what do we need to do about this? Like there's times when she's kind of vindictively like taking revenge. I think nowadays like revenge is like not the thing we're supposed to do. But I actually think like it was like a pretty good strategy. It's actually like a way, it's a personal justice system.
Hera and Juno were great at that.
Yeah, like an unjust, if you don't have a justice system that takes you into account, and we've seen that be, you know, important like ways, strategies for many groups of people who are left outside of the justice system. And so it's an interesting way to think about her like revenge, you know, where she's like, well, I'm going to take this out on.
Yeah, I think she's an interesting figure.
She's interesting, and she's not like we don't love her because she's perfect, and she demands respect. Not necessarily because every single action is like pristine, you know?
Yeah. So she is married to Jupiter in the pantheon, which gives her this like elevated status because Jupiter has elevated status. And the connection between this mythological figure and the astronomy side of things is that they've named this spacecraft Juno to go and check up on Jupiter and to spy on him and see what's going on in the Jupiter system. So this is the spacecraft, like the landmark flagship Jupiter spacecraft.
It's so funny, like I'm like blah 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 about Juno, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to Jupiter, it's going to see Jupiter, it's going to go check on, you know, this is a connection. Like I love that sense, NASA and also in like astrophysics, these fields in astronomy, like this sense of like the mythic, like the that poetry has a lot more to do with space. And like,
well, when the astronomers let it, most of the time we're oblivious to anything outside of science, but sometimes they are aware, and every once in a blue moon they're good at naming something. And I think Juno was one such example.
Yeah.
Hey friends, Charlotte is helping the dig team pull a big piece out of the ground. There are a bunch of them over there. Seriously, it looks like they're playing a game of tug of war with the Earth. But while they're over there doing that, I wanted to share some messages with you. The first is a big thank you and welcome to my newest pre-main sequence star, Anna Millo. Congratulations on really pulling all of your gas together. I'm so proud of you, Anna. And of course, I want to extend a big thank you to my sun-like stars, Scott Reynolds, Augustin, Tom T., Mark Mahoney, and Nicole Bartlett. You all have the perfect gravitational field, and I really appreciate your monthly support. I appreciate all of my patrons' support. I couldn't make this show without you, so thank you all so much. If you would like to join this amazing group of people and support an independent podcast and hear your name on an episode, you can do that for just about $1 per episode. And of course, if you can't support me financially, that's totally fine. I understand you're still space, and there are other ways you can help Pale Blue Pod grow if that's something you're interested in. You can rate and review the show on whatever podcast app you use. I really appreciate every review that I get to read, and it feels like I'm connecting with an audience, which is really hard through an audio medium like this. Or you can share the show with your friends, take a link to an episode that you think someone would like and send it to them. That can get them hooked, and that will help Pale Blue Pod's audience grow. If you would like to do that, you can join at patreon.com/palebluepod. That's just about $1 per episode, and I also offer an annual membership. So if you sign up for a whole year's worth of support up front, you end up getting a 13% discount across the entire year. So check that out at patreon.com/palebluepod or the link in this episode's description. All right, before we get back to this conversation with Charlotte, I have a message from the entire Multitude Collective. Do you sometimes feel, especially these days, like social media is all over the place? Are you not sure where to follow your favorite shows? Is it hard to get them all gathered into one central location? Well, I also have those same concerns, and so do other people at Multitude. As our social media landscape changes, we want to make sure that you can always find us. So if you want to keep in the loop with whatever is new at Multitude, you can sign up for our newsletter. Our monthly newsletter is the best way to stay up to date with what we're doing here at the Collective, from news to live shows to articles about the podcasting industry. You can sign up for our newsletter today at multitude.productions/newsletter. That link is also down in the episode description. All right, Charlotte is back. She is covered in dust, so let's keep talking about Juno, which I think by now is probably also covered in some cosmic dust. So I think the history of Juno, we can put it back to 2003. It launched in 2011, and so there was this 8-year period of people thinking about planning for this spacecraft. But in 2003, NASA started this new program of theirs called the New Frontiers program, quote, to pursue planetary missions of moderate scope and high scientific priority and value. End quote. So they put out a call for different missions that would explore different bodies in the solar system, and then they selected a few of them to really funnel money into. The first one that they picked was New Horizons, which went to Pluto and gave us amazing new views. It showed us the heart on Pluto. It showed us it's more about its relationship with its moon, which is great.
Yeah.
That was the first mission, and then the second mission that NASA selected for New Frontiers in 2005 was the Juno mission. It was meant to be a follow-up to Galileo, which was a spacecraft that went to Jupiter between 1995 and 2003, and we have better technology and better instruments, so we wanted to go back and study it again. The next two programs that NASA's New Frontiers picked were OSIRIS-REx, which is going to, I think, a comet to do some asteroid comet mining. Because as we run out of materials and resources here on Earth, people are thinking of going to comets and asteroids to get them there. Yeah. And then the project after that was Dragonfly, which was selected to go to Saturn's moon Titan and fly around in its atmosphere. It's like a little helicopter, and it's going to try and study Titan's ability to potentially host life. Does it have any sort of organic molecules there? So this Juno spacecraft is in good company. The New Frontiers program is doing a lot of cool stuff. But it was selected in 2005. The principal investigator, or PI, was named Scott Bolton. He was a researcher at the Southwest Research Institute in Texas. And together with the rest of the Juno team, he had to submit a bunch of different designs and plans to NASA before the final one got approved for Juno. But they were selected, then they just had to iterate a few times on their design before NASA really, really approved it.
Yeah. It's easy to forget that all these things are happening, happening at the same time as our little beautiful lives. There's at any given moment, there's amazing floating technologies just kind of slowly or fastly gliding through space, going towards these places. And who's watching them? And whose job is that? I know these are people's jobs, but who's oh my God, we're here and now we're going to be here. Do they ever go oh, we didn't put humans on, dogs or chimpanzees onto these expeditions. Oh man, we should have put, because this one didn't bust up into nothing and someone would have made it. Do they ever kick themselves for not sending? Or these places are way too far away and it would be a logistical nightmare?
Yeah, exactly. We're not sending any living creature beyond the moon.
Okay.
anytime soon.
Yeah.
People are talking about going to Mars. Those people are idiots. We're not going to Mars anytime soon.
Tell me more about that.
No, we do not have time for me to go on my anti-Elon rant.
I will join you right there.
Yeah.
Please.
We can take people to Mars. It would take almost a year just to get them there, and even that is a struggle, taking enough supplies for the 9-month-long mission to get to Mars. Would add so much weight to the spacecraft, which means you have to have more fuel, you have to have a more powerful rocket. So every pound that you add really does make a difference.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So no, they're not worried about not sending people on Juno or any sort of biological organism, because it also wouldn't have added anything to it. They have really powerful instruments that can be operated remotely or can be coded to operate independently. So yeah, we're
cool.
fine. And I have a section about all of the instruments on board.
Cool.
The original goal of the mission was to understand the origin and evolution of Jupiter, which is a pretty broad goal. So it seems like this Juno team had a lot of flexibility in what types of instruments they included and what type of spacecraft they put them on. But they really were interested in understanding the cloud coverage on Jupiter, what the different layers of its atmosphere look like. We did a whole episode about Jupiter, the planet, and how it has different layers in its atmosphere. Like, there's a layer of weird metallic liquid hydrogen that is like the pressures and temperatures inside Jupiter are so weird that unusual physics happens. And so they want to understand that. They want to understand the moon system. They want to understand magnetic activity. There's a lot going on there. And so there are 9 different instruments on board the spacecraft.
Yeah. I love that episode. I think that's probably why I call it buttery, but it's obviously me. I don't know what I mean by that. I'm just like, it's so layered.
It painted a picture.
Yeah,
it's buttery. It's flaky. It's like a croissant.
It's giving phyllo dough. It's giving croissant. It's giving
Yeah, Jupiter is just a laminated pastry.
Exactly. It's Great British Bake Off. It's cool. Okay.
In total, how much do you think Juno cost? They worked on it for about 6 years. It traveled billions of miles. How much do you think that costs?
Oof. In this economy, I don't know, like 500 million, or are we in the billions?
We're in the billions. Yeah, it's the mission.
Small nonprofit budget. Exactly.
That would be such a beautiful world, but that's not the world we live in. In this world, it costs $1.13 billion to build and launch and maintain. And this includes a lot. So this is developing the spacecraft, building the spacecraft and its instruments, paying for all of the personnel who work on it, and all of the personnel who work on the launch.
Yeah.
For mission operations, for processing the data that comes from the machine, and for supporting the machine for 78 months. They planned that in the budget. All 78 months that it was scheduled to run, because it launched in 2011 on August 8th from Cape Canaveral in Florida. Which was a Friday, an August Friday in 2011, which means I was probably coming back from that summer camp job. When they launched Juno.
Yeah.
What do you think you were doing on August 5th, 2011?
August 5th, 2011. Oh, I was like teaching. I was like a health ed teacher in New York City.
Oh, shit.
And I was like teaching.
Yeah.
I was like teaching like sex ed to like high school and like was carrying like bags of like all my supplies on like the subway going all over the place, and like occasionally like accidentally dumping out a whole bag of like condoms or like a physical representation of like anatomy, and then I would have to be like, oh, sorry about that.
Oh, please don't look here.
Yeah, please don't. I'm sorry. I was just a little young plucky sex ed teacher.
Oh, very necessary. And you probably had no idea that just like a couple thousand miles south, they were launching this rocket.
A great act of relationality, between
Truly.
Juno and Jupiter.
Yeah.
And to say I had no idea is almost an understatement. Like, returning to that time period is like, I just can feel the like haze of, when you go back to a memory and you're like, oh, I was deeply involved in myself and that universe. Just like new to New York City, trying to figure out like going on the 3 train, but it's going the wrong way. And you're like, oh, FML, so bad at this. So all amidst that, you have this amazing... How long did it take to get there? Or it hasn't arrived?
Oh, it has. Yeah, it's been there for a while.
Okay,
it launched in 2011. It reached Jupiter on July 4th, 2016. Okay. What a time.
What a time.
And it flew a total of 1.7 billion miles to get from here to Jupiter because it flew around Mars and then came back to Earth and used Earth as a gravity assist to slingshot itself to Jupiter. And it had enough fuel and the budget to support that whole flight and then about a year's worth of data collection once it got there, because it was originally scheduled to end the mission in 2017.
Yeah.
And the plan was to careen the spacecraft into Jupiter's atmosphere to prevent it from landing on any of the other moons and potentially contaminating them with our like organic molecules.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is what we did with the Cassini spacecraft that studied Saturn. We sent it into Saturn's atmosphere and destroyed the spacecraft. That was the plan here, but that's not what happened with Juno. It was doing so well at the end of 2017 that they pushed the end of the mission to 2021, giving it an extra 4 years. And then in 2021, they were like, actually, it's still doing great. Let's extend this to September of 2025. So this mission that was supposed to last like a year and a half, maybe, is gonna end up lasting like 14. Yeah. We're going strong.
I love this. I love a turn on the dime moment. And I would love to have just been like a fly on the wall with the meeting of like, right? Juno's doing so well. Don't you guys think? Like, who's advocating for Juno? And like, we're really getting some stuff here. And who are the people who are like, bring her back? Bring her back. You know what I mean? Like, who are like the power players in that meeting? And what are they like?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't cost them anything to keep it going. So it's not really like there's pushback on the other side. It costs them a little bit because they have to maintain like the data processing and everything. Yeah. But this is data that we want to be processing.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think they're too upset about it. And it's not like they have to pay more money to go fix it because we can't reach it. They aren't adding any fuel to it. They aren't adding instruments or taking them away. Like the price is kind of fixed at this point. Okay. So any additional performance we can get out of it is just giving us more data, which is good.
That's awesome. So my fantasy of like NASA being like a smoke-filled like boardroom that somehow also feels like a like decrepit university somewhere with like men with pants like with the buckle, like the way high-waisted
and the suspenders
and the horn-rimmed glasses, like just like slamming their fists down on the table, being like, "There's just not enough time," or whatever. This is not actually happening. Hopefully not.
Well, it's not happening at this stage. Yeah. I think that if it does happen, and there was definitely a time in NASA's history where that's exactly what it was.
That's what was going on.
But the time for that is before the spacecraft gets approved. So back when NASA's New Frontiers was choosing which projects to approve, that's when they were having those conversations in smoke-filled rooms.
Got it. Okay, thanks. So that weird vision of NASA can still be there for a certain portion.
You can keep on to that.
Thank you.
Hold on to that.
Thanks.
You're welcome. But yeah, they spent the $1.13 billion, and now it's out there. And a lot of that money went to designing a spacecraft that could withstand the toxic environment of space and give us really good data. And this is how they did it. It was built by Lockheed Martin, which is a big company. And as a big company, it has strange connections that aren't awesome. They've built drones. They built drones, probably.
They've been part of.
Yeah, so there's Lockheed Martin. It is what it is.
It is.
Yes. So it was built by Lockheed Martin. And when you take a step back and you look at Juno, it kind of just looks like a ceiling fan with 3 different blades attached to it, except it is huge. It's bigger than a basketball court. Each of those things that looks like a fan blade is actually a solar panel, and this is the first solar-powered spacecraft to go out to Jupiter, which is a big deal because by the time you get out to Jupiter, you're only getting about 4% of the sunlight that we have here at Earth. So to have a solar-powered thing, is an accomplishment.
Wild. Yeah.
That's also why the solar panels have to be so big.
Yeah.
Each panel is 30 feet long and 9 feet across. The spacecraft itself is like a little cylinder. It's 11 feet high, it's 11 feet in diameter, and it holds all of the instruments inside it. When it launched with all of the fuel and everything, the total weight for Juno was 8,000 pounds. That was 3,500 pounds for the spacecraft, about 3,000 pounds of fuel, and about 1,500 pounds of oxidizer, which is something that they use during launch to help the fuel combust more efficiently so that you really get that oomph pushing you up.
So is an oxidizer, is it like actual oxygen or?
I don't know. I mean, it's a general term because there are multiple things you can use for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they used.
Okay.
There's a lot of chemistry going into this.
Yeah. And it's the size of a basketball court because of the solar panels in part.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I mean, like the main thing is just like 10 feet across, 11 feet across. And then you have these giant solar panels that make it look bigger. And the whole thing is 3,500 pounds plus fuel. And then they put that on top of a 1.3 million pound Atlas V551 rocket. And all of that fuel inside helped the rocket reach 165,000 miles per hour when it launched out of the atmosphere.
Oh my God. That's like the sizes of all these things are so massive. I also, I can't help but like want to also sort of rename it to be the Space Jam because of the basketball court. And then it could have all anyway, but Juno is a much more dignified.
I know. But Space Jam is also good.
Also dignified, also offered something. Culturally.
Juno / the Space Jam, the spacecraft, has 10 different science instruments on it, and they're encased in that little cylinder, which is about 400 pounds, like the cylinder itself, because it's made of a super durable titanium vault that is meant to protect all of these instruments from radiation out in space. Some other things that they have to do to protect from radiation are design a special orbit for the spacecraft. Instead of going like around the equator of Jupiter, which is what a lot of these other spacecrafts have done, they go from pole to pole. So they start at the North Pole, and then they take a really wide swing out to avoid the magnetic field lines and the radiation that comes from that. And then they come up closer to the South Pole to take more data, and then they do another wide loop around to collect data on all the moons. So it has this like really weird elliptical and precisely placed orbit to try and avoid most of the magnetic activity and radiation.
That is so wild that all of these things have to be kind of hypothetical by the scientists, the team that's working on this. And then I wonder what it feels like when you actually watch it work. And you're like,
that's the happiest scientists ever are. Like they can be married, they can have 5 kids, they can have seen their parents be cured of cancer. Right. The most exciting day of their life is when they see this spacecraft unfold and work perfectly.
It freaking works. Like we avoided the magnetic fields. Like we avoided this thing, and it works, and the science that we know, that's just wild to me. Like, and that we're all going about our lives while these massive feats of just like mind blended with the physical world and universe, they're happening while we're sort of involved in our, I need to reorder toilet paper on Amazon. No, I stubbed my toe. And it's like, this is happening.
Really puts things in perspective. I want to run quickly through these instruments that it has. A lot of them are to measure magnetic activity, but they have some spectral instruments. They have what they call a stellar reference unit to help orient the spacecraft to make sure it's pointing in the right way. But the spacecraft is constantly rotating. It does that so that each instrument has like a turn looking at Jupiter, looking at whatever its target is. But the rotation also helps keep its orbit more stable as it's going in that weird looping fashion. So that stellar reference unit is pretty important. They have different types of radiometers to measure like the radio waves coming off of this. They are studying the aurora on Jupiter. They have an instrument called the Jovian Infrared Auroral Mapper. They also have the Jovian Auroral Distributions Experiment. So they're studying like these electrically charged particles that are traveling along Jupiter's magnetic field lines and creating these aurora at its poles. But they also are studying aurora among some of the moons. There can be like magnetic interactions between Jupiter and its moons, and that can create aurora. But one of its moons, Ganymede, has its own magnetic field. It is the only moon in the solar system to have its own magnetic field strong enough to maybe produce its own aurora, which is sick. It's so cool.
That's wild. And when you say aurora, would that be experienced by our human eyes as like the aurora borealis? Or is that a different thing?
It's the same mechanism, but it probably wouldn't look the same to our eyes because the colors of an aurora depends on what particles are interacting with in the atmosphere. And Jupiter's atmosphere is made up of different types of molecules, so it would probably look different.
Got it.
But it's still like you have these charged particles moving through the solar system. They get caught up in a planet's magnetic field, and they get funneled to specific places in the atmosphere. And then there's a concentration of them because they're all funneling to the same place. So they interact with the other molecules in the atmosphere and produce pretty colors.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's more than I have ever known about magnetic fields and aurora.
Yeah. I like that aurora are so common throughout the solar system because they just depend on having a strong enough magnetic interaction with a sufficient atmosphere.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of magnetic activity supervision going on. Juno is also measuring gravitational fields. It wants to know how matter is distributed throughout Jupiter because it's not distributed evenly, and we can tell because there are these fluctuations in gravity. If you fly over one part, gravity is stronger than if you fly over another, and for a completely spherical, evenly distributed, massive thing, you wouldn't get those differences. So now they're trying to figure out how and why is it spread apart.
It's like those mystery spots in California. Do you know what I'm talking about? They're like from the 50s. No. They're totally made up, but they're like a roadside attraction, and they're called mystery spots. And they like kind of like you visit different stations, and there's like weird, I don't know, like tricks of the eye kind of things, but it looks like gravity works different here. And they're called mystery spots. And they've always been definitely California, maybe some other Western states. And it's like kind of a retro thing. Anyway, shout out to mystery spots.
Love it. And then they kind of just like added this instrument at the end. It doesn't give them as much science information or data, but it's called the Juno cam, and it's a visible light camera, and they put it on mostly for outreach purposes. They wanted to take really pretty pictures of the whole Jovian system to get the public back here on Earth excited about it, because we're a visual species and we usually need to see a pretty picture before we get excited about something. So that's what the Juno cam does. So any pretty picture you've seen of Jupiter in the last 6 years has come from Juno. And then it's made some pretty big discoveries. I'll kind of run through these. We learned a lot about Jupiter's atmosphere and its weather. We saw Earth-sized storms at both of its poles. We saw cyclones and anticyclones at the North Pole. When we were studying the mass distribution, we found that the core seems to be less solid than we previously thought, which now changes our entire idea of planet formation. Because before we thought that all of these gas giants would have a solid rocky or icy core, and it seems like Jupiter's core is puffier than we thought. So now we have to go back to the drawing board.
Puffier?
Puffier. Yeah, like it's less dense, and it's like just like
marshmallow. Like
between a marshmallow and a chunk of ice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Puffier. Okay, I love that word.
Yeah, just slightly puffier than a chunk of ice. We detected multiple kinds of lightning, including what we call shallow lightning, high in the atmosphere, higher than there's water. So they had to think of another mechanism for lightning to happen that high up in the atmosphere, and they've figured out that it probably comes from ice crystals colliding with ammonia molecules up in the atmosphere. they've showed that the bands, like the colored bands going across Jupiter, are alternating wind flows. So they've like studied a bit about the flow of wind in the atmosphere. They found a big blue spot at the equator to go along with the big red spot, and it's invisible, so you actually can't see like a big blue spot with your eyes, but it's this area of intense, mysterious magnetic activity. Like, we don't know why it's so strong and concentrated in that one area, but it is. And now we can study it.
Wow.
So much. They found that water is more abundant near the equator of Jupiter than at the poles. And they took so many pictures of the system with Juno Cam. They took pictures of Io, which we now know is the most volcanically active moon, or entire world, actually, including the planets. It's the most volcanically active world in the solar system that we know of so far. They found that a lot of Jupiter's magnetic field strength might be coming from that liquid metallic hydrogen layer closer to the surface of Jupiter than we expected. So yeah, there are so many things we've learned from Juno.
That's wild.
That we didn't know before. Yeah.
What's the most surprising to you about it? Like, is there anything where you're like, because I know what everything is surprising to me, because I'm like, oh my God, how did they figure this out? And that's crazy. And like, what shape is it?
Yeah.
What is, if it has different,
Yeah.
but I'm curious, like, what to you was like, hold the phone?
For me, it was the core being puffier, because I studied planets, specifically exoplanets, so outside of our solar system in grad school, but I did that all with the understanding that planets far away from stars form by having a rocky or icy core and then accumulating a lot of gas around it. And I have to question that a little bit now.
And can a rocky core start to become puffy? Or
Yeah,
or
it almost certainly can. Like, maybe the tidal pressure or the tidal forces from gravitational interactions among the moons, maybe they can like disrupt the core somehow.
Yeah.
That would take a lot of gravitational interaction. Maybe some like chemical process inside, maybe some dynamical process inside, like how things are moving. But yeah, so many possibilities. I'm excited to see what they find.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it feels like such a mystical place. All the things that you've described about it, like this unseeable blue zone that's like, that has a different, what did you say? Like a different magnetic or
It's magnetic field strength.
and then like, what shape is it? Like, I know we're sort of like, that circle, that not circle, but maybe it's like, maybe it has like, you're saying like, maybe it has a different...
It's not that the shape is different than we expect, but that matter is distributed through it differently than we would expect.
Which is like...
So it's like lumpy in some parts and smoother in others. And
That's wild to me. I'm trying to wrap my my brain around
like,
that.
imagine if you put a blanket in a pillowcase to try and make a pillow.
Oh, yeah.
You can't make it perfectly distributed, perfectly even. So some parts are going to have like more blanket, some parts will have less.
Wild. It's amazing to hear these insights. Like, I still, it's sort of like, it makes you expand something about the way you look at the world, even though it's kind of confusing to me what to do with any of this information. Is sort of like, so what do we, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just working on us. It does something just as Earthlings to expand our horizons, you know, and imagine different realities, right?
Totally. So in the last few minutes we have, I'd love for you to brag a bit about yourself and tell people where they can find you and your work online.
Oh, okay. You can see some of my theatrical, comedic, musical work at charlottemoroz.com. And you can find my, like, mythological consulting, creative, you know, collaborating coaching kind of stuff at creativemythologies.com.
Ooh.
She's got websites.
Yeah, she does. And those links are in the show notes.
Excellent. They're just like that. It's
Magic.
thanks to Juno. That was also a line item, is to make sure our show notes. Yeah, that's where you can find me, and I'm so delighted to get to talk to you. I'm a fan, and I will go back to my fellow mythologists, and we will talk about this epic getting to be on your show moment for many generations. So thank you, thank you for this chance to talk to you.
My pleasure. Thanks for reaching out. I'm glad we got to chat. Maybe I can come join one of your myth meetings sometime.
We would. I like saying we. Like I'm suddenly this entity.
The royal we.
We would love that. But yes, that would be. I and the rest of our cohort would be so jazzed about that.
Listeners, go check out Charlotte's links. I'm really excited to have another mythology person here on the show with me. We have to go dig some things up. We're not actually digging anything up, but they have already digged something up, and now we can brush the dirt off of it, which is a good experience in and of itself. So we're going to go do that. Listeners, no matter what ancient ruin you find yourself in, you're still space.
There's still space. Thank you.
Pale Blue Pod is hosted by me, Dr. Moiya McTier, aka the universe's bestie. I created the show with original co-host Corinne Caputo, a comedienne extraordinaire, and help from the Multitude Productions team. Our theme music is by Evan Johnston, and our cover art is by Shay McMullen, and our audio editing is handled by the incomparable Misha Stanton. I am Go Astro Mo everywhere online, and you can stay in touch with the show and the universe by following Pale Blue Pod on Instagram or checking out our website, palebluepod.com. We are a member of Multitude, an independent podcast collective and production studio. So if you like Pale Blue Pod, you will love the other shows that live at multitude.productions. And if you want a shout out on the show and research notes for every episode, you can join our community over at patreon.com/palebluepod for just about $1 per episode. Thank you so much for listening to Pale Blue Pod. I'll be back next week. Bye.